Hello and welcome to the Holographic Podcast. I'm your host, Tony Tone D. My co-host, Kyle the Salty Dog, is on vacation, so he will not be joining us today. It's just going to be me and my own crazy thoughts. Thanks for listening today. This show is going to be an all sorts show. There's going to be a lot of different things, mostly an eclectic mix of science and weird stuff that's been rolling around in my head, and I'd like to talk about it a little bit. So, all sorts. So, the term all sorts, just briefly, is an historical term from around the 1800s, 1800s, early 1900s, in pubs and bars and taverns where they would take leftover alcoholic drinks and throw it all in a barrel and mix it all together and label it all sorts. And then alcoholics and people who need a cheap fix would come in and pay a little less money than normal and get a shot or a glass of all sorts and get their alcohol. So historically, I want to talk about how history isn't always what it seems. So in the past, a lot of people drank alcohol. Alcohol was a big part of culture. And in the Middle Ages, people would say that alcohol actually took the place of water because alcohol was safer than water. You could get a lot of diseases and bacteria from regular water because they didn't boil a lot of it and they weren't aware of that sort of thing. But alcohol went through a process where it would boil and get rid of those diseases and bacteria. So instead of, they drank beer instead of water because it was safer. And that's true to an extent, but not necessarily, because a lot of people lived by streams and rivers, and those streams and rivers were naturally okay. It was just people in the cities that had a problem with water, and cities were not as populated as they are now. So most people did live in rural communities, and they did drink a lot of water. So that little tidbit from history is up and down. Might not be making as much sense, but the point I'm getting at is that history is more complicated and it has many more layers than it appears. So here's an analogy. If you reach into your closet and you grab a shirt without looking, I'm going to wear this shirt and it's blue, and you go, oh, every shirt in my closet is blue, but that's not true. If you take a deeper look into your closet, you'd see that there are many different color shirts in there. There's red and yellow and greens and maybe even multicolored and maybe stripes. It's very complicated, just like history. You can take a tidbit from history and think that's how it is, but that's not the case. History is very complex and there's a lot to learn and to understand. So we shouldn't jump to judgments about history so quick from just a few anecdotes or a few things that make sense to us. It's very complex. And then once we learn a little bit more, we can use history to help ourselves move into the future. I love history, and I think history is very important. So let's learn history. Let's understand that it's very complex and there's a lot more to it than we understand. And then let's use it to move into the future. So speaking of the future, the first topic I want to talk about is cyborgs and artificial intelligence. This is stuff that's been rolling around in my head. So I've been thinking about this sort of thing lately because it's happening. It's the future is now. Our society is progressing very fast. You may not realize it, but it really is. So let's talk about it a little bit. So let's talk about a definition. So the definition of a cyborg, a basic actually Merriam-Webster definition is all they say is a bionic human. There's another dictionary that goes a little bit more into it. It says a person whose physiological functioning is aided by or dependent upon a mechanical or electronic device. So based on those two brief definitions, I would say many, many humans are cyborgs right now because of our smartphones and it's a computer. I'm talking to a computer. This is a mechanical device that's aiding me. Many of us are dependent on them for medical reasons, but almost all of us are aided by them in some way. We have the smartphone on us a lot, and that makes us cyborgs, really. There are different people that have spoken about this recently, I know on the Joe Rogan podcast, he talked about Elon Musk was on there talking about it. I'm not a huge fan of Elon Musk, but he is a smart dude, but he does some weird shit. But I just want to bring that up because that's relevant. His company is developing different implants that he wants to put in the brain, and he's starting it out with medical applications to help people with medical applications, and then in the future he wants it to be more of a smartphone type implant. But he's just the first one. There's going to be a lot of different things. So the point I'm getting at here is that this technology is going to be with us, whether we like it or not. Right now, we have the smartphones in our pocket, and soon the technology will be that that will be implanted in our brain. Maybe here, who knows? But the technology is going to be there, and it's going to be up to us whether we want to use that technology, whether to have it implanted in ourselves or not. And basically what it's going to do is give us faster interface. Right now with the smartphone, we look at it. With the computer, I look at it. I use my eyes and I use my ears to interface with this technology. If it's implanted in my brain, I wouldn't have to use my eyes and ears. It would go right into my brain, and I could use different things to interact and to use that information and technology, and I would be a lot faster with it. And I'm able to access information faster, able to possibly again use it for medical applications, to heal myself, to find out information about the world around me and the world inside me. So when you hear about that, it's a little scary. I think a lot of people think about an implant in their brain and they say, whoa, 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 that's too far. That's too much. That's not going to work because it turns me into a robot. Well, you already are a cyborg by almost every definition. We have the smartphone in our pocket. This implant is just in a different place. Instead of in your pocket, carrying it around and using your eye orbs, it's just in your brain. So I'm not putting a right or wrong on it right now. I'm not sure if it's right or wrong. I'm just saying that it's a technology that's going to be here and we have to decide how we want to use it. You know, I have children. I have 2 children. And as the world progresses and technology progresses, they're probably going to want something like that if everyone else has it. And who am I to say, no, you can't have it? It'd be like someone in the past saying, no, you can't drive that vehicle. We do horses. If you get in that vehicle, you're going to go faster than humans are supposed to, and it's dangerous, and we don't know that technology. No, you can't use electricity. We use candles. Electricity is going to burn you up, and it's the devil's work. You know, that type of technological advance has always frightened people. It has always been something that people don't know about, and so they're afraid of it. And what I'm saying is we shouldn't be afraid of it. We should understand it and decide if it's right for us, not based on fear, but based on where we are with our lives. You know, again, if my children are wanting to compete with other people in the future and they want to live in the city and do technological jobs, then I'm all for it. If they want to live in the woods and they don't need it, I'm all for that too. I don't want them to judge it based on fear. I don't want to sit here and say, no, you shouldn't do it because we're afraid. So I'm cautioning the listeners out there, when you hear this technology, if you're older, you know, younger people tend to be open to these technological advances more. Older people don't tend to be open to these technological advances more. So if you're older and you're thinking, no way, that's BS. Hey, take a step back, open your mind a little bit. Think about when you were younger, the technological advances that you had access to that your parents were afraid of. This is the exact same thing. And if you think it's different, you're wrong. This is the exact same thing. Technological advances are hard to imagine, and you're always afraid of them. Don't be afraid. Cyborgs are here. We are cyborgs, and we're going to be cyborgs in the future. So the other part of that is AI, artificial intelligence. Cyborg is technology with the human body. Artificial intelligence has no human body. It's created by humans, but it's just complete artificial. And that is another thing that is here is artificial intelligence. Right now we have these supercomputers that are making decisions, and they're creating different things, and they're using algorithms to do all sorts of different things. And there's so much science fiction right now in our society. There's so much science fiction about artificial intelligence. Excuse me. So much science fiction about artificial intelligence that is negative. There is some that is positive, but a lot of it's negative. A lot of it is fear. A lot of it is saying that the artificial intelligence is going to become smart and think humans are obsolete and destroy us. There's so many movies where artificial intelligence has a war against humans. Is that a possibility? Yes, it's a possibility. A very small possibility. Let's think about it scientifically. Let's think about it critically. Artificial intelligence right now is being created but it's being created at a very slow pace. It's going step by step by step. There's a lot of restrictions when it comes to mimicking the human brain. So the human brain has so many synapse connections, has so many neurons, has so much capacity, and artificial intelligence is just nowhere near that capacity. Could it be like a human brain at some point? Yes. When that point happens, there will have been a lot of scientific progress made, and a lot of different, I hesitate to say, but I would use the word rules made by people creating it to make artificial intelligence be a certain way. And I don't think, again, this is possibilities. I don't think artificial intelligence is going to be malevolent. I don't think it's going to be evil. I don't think it's going to care about that sort of thing. It may not care about our emotions, but it's also not going to have emotions. So the problem I see with science fiction with evil artificial intelligence is that it's got this emotional evil malevolence that is human. That's a human trait. That's what we evolved to survive in a harsh environment. That's not how artificial intelligence is. Artificial intelligence looks at the world very critically without emotion. And so is it possible for them to develop artificial emotions? Yeah, that's also possible. I just don't think that all of a sudden this artificial intelligence, from all this advances in technology, is all of a sudden going to be like, oh yeah, let's destroy all these humans. Like, it's not going to care about that. It's going to be progressing and thinking about things and doing things that are beyond us once it gets to that point. It's not going to be thinking about a war with humans. It's going to be like, I'm going to create go off into outer space and um and populate the universe. Why would I bother with this planet? I think that could be a possibility. There's a ton of possibilities. I just think the destructive Terminator, Matrix AI possibilities are slim. Possible, but slim. So when you hear about AI technological advances, and when you hear about this sort of thing, take a deep breath, take a step back, look at it critically, look at it scientifically. Don't look at it with emotion of all of the science fiction, weird, crazy, negative stuff that we've been bombarded with in the past, 20, 30 years on our media. It's interesting. It's fun. There's fun movies. I love Terminator movies. I love Matrix movies. I just don't think that's how it's going to pan out. Another interesting thing with that, as AI progresses, artificial intelligence progresses, and it gains intelligence. This is, again, a possibility. It may not. Humans might destroy it out of fear. It may not be able to progress past the human mind. We don't know. But if it does progress past the human mind, artificial intelligence could be the future of evolution. So who's to say how evolution turns out? Who's to say that humans, as we evolve and progress, weren't meant to create artificial intelligence to progress past us, and that could be a future of our evolution? Again, I don't know. I'm not saying, oh, this is how it's going to be. I'm not saying I believe this and I think this is exactly how it is. That's not what I'm saying at all. I don't think that's how it is at all. I just think that's a distinct possibility in the way the universe works. As things and life progresses, it could progress to a point where it creates an artificial aspect to itself, and that artificial aspect then goes to the stars or then moves forward, because these physical bodies just aren't meant to live forever. These physical bodies aren't meant to be in space, but artificial intelligence can live a long time, like possibly forever, but maybe, forever, infinite, I know is a big term. We don't really know exactly what that means. It's a abstract term, but I just mean like a lot longer than the human lifespan. AI could live a lot longer than a human lifespan, where they could be a lot tougher than a human body. So the possibility is that that is the future of evolution. If Kyle were here, he would probably say, whoa, I don't know if I buy that. Absolutely. I don't know if I buy it either, but I'm throwing it out there because scientifically speaking, that's a real thing to consider. Are we the future? Is this body the future? Because we're not going to last. We can't go out and say, there's so many constraints in space. One being that's another show. We'll talk about space, but one constraint in space is radiation. We're protected by a magnetic field here on Earth. The Earth has this molten iron metal core that creates a magnetic field, and that blocks a lot of radiation from the sun. That makes life on this planet possible. That's one reason why a lot of planets, why Mars possibly doesn't have an atmosphere, is because it's smaller and the molten core stopped moving and creating a magnetic field, and the radiation destroyed everything. So we're in this little bubble on this planet luckily from this magnetic protection from radiation in space. These bodies, when they go in space, that's a major problem that scientists are thinking about and saying, how can we send people out in space and other planets and have them survive this radiation? That's just one problem. I mean, there's a lot of problems. Again, we'll talk about it at a different show, but I'm using this example as radiation as one example, as that's a major problem for our bodies. We can't just go out in space and survive. We're going to get radiated and get cancer. Our cells will fall apart, and that'll be the end of it. Artificial intelligence, on the other hand, is depending on the what it's made from and the shell that it's in, doesn't have that issue. So who's to say that that isn't the future of humanity, is an artificial version of humanity that is then going to survive into the future? So cybernetic organisms and artificial intelligence, regardless of whether you like it or not, are here to stay in this society. And unless society is completely destroyed, it is here to stay. And artificial intelligence and cybernetic organisms, including yourself, including myself, are going to be a major part of our culture and society. On this show, that's what we talk about, culture and society. So this has been rattling around in my head a little bit as the future is here. This is a big thing that we have to really think about and consider and come into grips and a comfortable understanding. So I'm talking about it because we want to be comfortable with it. We want to understand it. We want to decide what's right for us. We want to decide what's right for our bodies. And we shouldn't be afraid of things. We should make intelligent decisions, knowing these things are a possible future. That's it. That's what's been rattling around in my head for the cyborg thing. So that was a serious topic about a real future possibility. And I know I did it briefly, but there, we don't want to talk it to death. We want to think about it. We know it's here, and let's move on. And I'll bring it up with Kyle another time, but for now, it's here. Cyborgs, baby. So the next topic I want to talk about is relating to hologram theory. Those of you who watch the show, who like the show, thank you so much. I appreciate every single viewer. I appreciate every single listener. I appreciate people who think about things and who enjoy to examine the universe from a broader perspective. And that's what I love to do, is examine the universe from a broader perspective. So a theory of the universe that I really love is the hologram theory, hence the name of the show, the Holographic Podcast. It permeates in everything that I talk about here, and it's such a big part of my life because it helps me to navigate through the world. It helps me to navigate through the universe. And you think, oh, the universe is so big. No, the universe is here. The universe is us. Universe all around you right now. So the universe, while it may be infinitely big, is also everything around you. So don't think that it's inaccessible. It's completely accessible because it's right here, right now. This is the universe, totally accessible. So use these theories to access the universe for you. Kind of a strange concept, but it's ridiculously simple. Use your brain and your theories to access the universe for you. So the hologram theory of the universe, basically, I've talked about it in the past, in past shows, but basically it says that our universe is similar to a hologram where there's some implicit information somewhere, and then our reality is this explicit projection of that information and reality. So it's much more complicated than we think, and there's things that we don't know and don't understand in this implicit reality, and just our minds create an explicit reality that we can navigate and see and hear and taste and touch. But really we could just be light and energy. So the implicit reality, people say, what do you mean implicit reality of information? It's like light and energy, wavelengths. As we're wavelengths of light and energy, our brains create a reality of firmness. But really, the hand doesn't exist. Nothing exists except for the light and the energy and what we create. It's a difficult concept to wrap your head around. It's a difficult thing to really grasp, and I don't fully grasp it. And it's just a theory, and I don't think it's 100% correct. There's obviously different things about it, but I believe it's a worthwhile theory, and it's a good theory to think about the nature of our existence. I think that it makes sense to me in so many ways. If you want to learn more about it, read The Holographic Universe by Michael Talbot. Read different theories about the holographic theory, and maybe it will make more sense to you as well. But it makes a lot of sense to me to describe the nature of the universe and a lot of different things that happen. There's so many strange things that happen in this life that we can't describe with basic scientific knowledge. And as you know, there's different scientific theories. There's the main scientific theory of gravity, and there's the main scientific theory of the quantum realm. But those have a hard time describing everything. And so we need some more things to describe things. I bring this up because I've been reading about some new theories of the universe. There are actually two interesting theories of the universe that I read recently. I actually didn't write down exactly what they are called, so I can't tell you exactly who wrote it, and I can't tell you exactly what it's called, but I'm going to give you give you the ideas of them. So the first idea is a theory that everything is made up of really, really, really small bits, small parts. So in string theory, that's a theory that says everything is made up of these teeny tiny strings, or maybe one giant connected string. And it's 10 to the negative 38, I believe, is that 35, 10 to the negative 35 meters long, which 10 to the negative 35 meters is crazy small, ridiculously small. Our observable, our smallest observations are only 10 to the negative 18 meters. Strings are said to be 10 to the negative 35 meters, ridiculously small. This new theory, this person says that the universe is made up of things 10 to the negative 50 meters, so ridiculously small. It's interesting. I don't know a lot about it, but I just read a little tidbits that their theory is that the universe is made up of these really, really infinitely small bits that create everything, and then we're all connected through it. So interesting theory. The second theory I was reading, which makes a decent sense, is that our universe and our reality is created through observation. So it's an interesting thing in quantum physics, in the quantum realm, where observation creates certain things. You'll have to go read about it yourself, because I'm not quantum physics is not my specialty, but basically observing things in quantum physics makes them react differently than when you're not observing them. So this particular theory says that's everything. That's the entire universe. The universe exists, our reality exists because of how we're observing it, and that we're alive, and that our consciousness is creating this observable universe. And again, I can't tell you exactly who said it. This is just a overview of what I was briefly reading, but that made sense. And and these are interesting theories, and I think that they're connected with the hologram theory, and I think that they really have to do with the hologram theory. I think it's all related. So in hologram theory, you have this implicit reality, and explicit reality is created by our brains, or created somehow. So the idea that the observable that the universe is created because of observation is very similar. It's a very similar idea. The idea that the universe is made up of a ton of teeny tiny bits that are crazy small, and we're all connected, is another very similar idea. Those teeny tiny things could be that implicit reality. So I think that these theories are they cross over. I think they're related. I think they have to do with one another. But I think there's a problem. The problem is when I was reading these, the people that are into these theories, and same thing with a lot of mainstream scientists, is they take these theories and they're too rigid. They have these theories in certain parameters, and they don't want to look outside of those parameters. So, I don't want to knock mainstream science, because I think that mainstream science is very important, and the scientific method is extremely useful. It's extremely important. I mean, that's how cybernetic organisms came about. That's how artificial intelligence came about. That's how all these theories came about, was the scientific method. So I'm not knocking the mainstream science. I'm not knocking the scientific method. I'm talking about individuals. I'm talking about individual humans who have emotions and have these theories, and are set that these theories are rigid in these constraints. In other words, if you have one theory, the hologram theory, and you have this other theory about string theory, or a theory of teeny tiny bits, or another theory about the observable universe being created by observation, or another theory about the quantum realm. In a lot of these scientists' heads, these theories are separate, and these theories are in their constraints of what they think they should be. And what I'm saying is, I don't think that's how the universe works. And what we're seeing from these different theories and from all the weird stuff that's happening in our observable universe, that we don't know what's going on. And if we continue to be constrained in these specific theories, we're never going to know what's going on, because that's not how life works. That's not how the universe works. It's not in a specific theory. It's not in a constrained viewpoint. The universe is all viewpoints. The universe is all theories. And that's, again, an abstract concept, but I just think there needs to be more crossover. I think there needs to be more understanding of other sciences for each scientist. I think there needs to be more understanding for an individual scientist when they make a theory that says, this is my theory, but it's probably a combination with this other theory, and it's a combination with this other theory. And I don't see a whole lot of that. I don't see a whole, scientific papers that I read, they don't say, they want to be right. They say, this is my theory and this is why I think it's right, and blah, blah, blah. And sometimes it has to do with some specific things, and that's great. But a lot of times it seems to me that it could be a combination of things, and it can have a lot of different aspects to it that they're not considering, because that's not how the universe works. So it's the difference between doing a scientific experiment in a petri dish and doing a scientific experiment in the middle of the ocean. You can't do a scientific experiment in the middle of the ocean and have specific results, because it's in the middle of the ocean. It just doesn't really work the same way. So we're spending too much time thinking about things in a petri dish. We're spending too much time thinking about these theories as being in this box. This is the theory, where that's just not how the universe works. The universe is everything. Science has to do with everything. So I think scientists need to broaden their own individual horizons. I'm not saying the scientific method isn't worthwhile. I'm saying certain scientists let their ego come into play and say, I think I'm right. This is my theory. And if you say that it's something else, then no, you're wrong. I'm going to try and prove this theory. So I hope that makes sense. That's what I'm saying. To further this as well, when I said the smallest observable things are only 10 to the negative 18 meters, there's no way to observe 10 to the negative 35 meters. There's no way to observe 10 to the negative 50 meters. Many of these theories, hologram theory, at this point, it's not provable. At this point, none of these crazy, string theory has only been proven through math. It's only been shown through math, but it's not proven through observation, because we can't observe past 10 to the negative 18 meters. So what I'm saying is, so many of these things, as when we put them in this box and we make them theories, they're just not going to be provable anytime soon. It's possible in the future we could prove certain things, but that future is a long way off right now, a long way off. Maybe AI might prove it. Maybe some AI in the future traveling in space might prove hologram theory, or a theory similar to that, a theory of everything. But at this point, that's not going to happen anytime soon. So because these things are not scientifically provable in the scientific method, they cease to be purely scientific method science and get into the realm of philosophy. And it gets into the realm of the shaman. It gets into the realm of the sage, of people that have a deeper understanding but don't necessarily have scientific theory for everything. And that combination and that crossover is what I'd like to see more. I'd like to see scientists understand shaman theory more, shamanistic things and hallucinogenic things. And I'd like to see sages and philosophers understand science more. I'd like to see a crossover, because in my head, a lot of these theories, a lot of this deeper understanding is all connected. It has to do with each other. There is a value to the scientific theory. There's also a value to the way a shaman goes into the universe, and no one else can see that and can't prove that. There is a value to a philosopher who has ideas about things, but it's subjective. It's hard to be objective with philosophy. It's a subjective thing. So I think that there needs to be a greater understanding of these different disciplines, and bring them together to help create a broader understanding of the universe. This is helpful. This has been so helpful for me because I've studied shamans and I've done hallucinogens and I've been into that aspect of things, but I've also done these strict scientific experiments, and I've studied physics and all this sort of things. And so that's why, to me, hologram theory makes so much sense, because it's kind of a combination of it. It's kind of a combination of things where the universe is a broad and crazy and amazing place that's not necessarily explainable through everything with a scientific theory, but it can be maybe in the future, but it also is deep and it's a mystery, and it's okay for things to be a mystery. It's okay for things to not be completely and utterly explainable with math. So I don't know. And that's what I want to say specifically too, is I'm not sure. I don't know. I have ideas, I have theories, I have intuition, and I think the universe is an amazing, crazy, complicated place, but I don't know. And I think that that's important for people to recognize in themselves, is we don't know a lot. And let's check our egos, because we don't know a lot and we don't know what's going on in someone else's head. Let's check our egos when we see someone else do something we don't like, and it brings out emotion and it makes us angry. We don't know what's going on with them. They don't know what's going on with us. I don't know what's going on with the greater universe. So I'd like to have more of a compassionate understanding of other people, compassionate understanding of other theories of the universe, compassionate understanding of animals and plants and everything. And I think that's a good way to be. I think that's a good way to look at the world around us, the universe around us. I'm not sure what's going on, but I'm trying. So let's do it, man. Let's try to understand things, even though we might not know everything. That's okay. What else did I want to talk about? Ooh, I got something I want to talk about. So I don't know how many people are aware of what happened last year of this interstellar object that came into our solar system. It was called Oumuamua. That's a name that was dubbed by some people. Basically, it was this comet-like interstellar object that came into our solar system and has now exited or is exiting our solar system. It depends how big you think our solar system is. Different theories and ideas of how big our solar system is changing. So anyway, so this interstellar object came in a way that it was observably different from the other astrological bodies in our solar system, went around our sun and took off. And this is typical of comets. That's why I say it's a comet-like object, because this Halley's Comet does that, comes in every 75 years into our solar system and takes off. And so this is not an unusual thing, but there are some unusual properties here that makes many scientists think that this is not a comet. It was dubbed Oumuamua. Some people think it's an extraterrestrial or an alien craft or an alien created thing. So I want to talk about it, because I don't know exactly what it is, but I want people to be aware of it and be aware of the facts, and then we can decide for ourselves. So Oumuamua, this object, came into our solar system in what's called a non-gravitational acceleration, which means it wasn't just from gravity. It didn't just fly in like an asteroid affected by gravity from other astronomical bodies. So when we have an asteroid that comes in, it's pretty clear that it's an asteroid because it has certain gravitational things that we can measure through Newtonian science. Boom, easy. This particular object had a non-gravitational path, non-gravitational acceleration. So it wasn't just an asteroid. It was very similar to a comet. They thought it was a comet, but this is a fact. It doesn't have a comet's tail. So how a comet works is a comet has ice and other things that is heated by the sun or other suns, and it heats up the ice and the things in the comet, and then it expels gas, and then that propels it. So when you observe a comet, you can see the comet's tail, and you can see how it moves non-gravitationally because of its tail and because of how the ice is heated up and the gas expels. This particular object does not have a tail, does not have an observable tail, does not have an observable amount of ice or other things that is heated by the sun to move it. That's one fact. The other fact is it's very long and very flat. One scientist I was listening to actually says it's even flatter than the drawing. So some people made computer renderings and drawings of it where it's like cigar shaped. This one scientist was like, hey, it's even flatter than that. It's not even cigar shaped. It's super, super thin, super long and thin and flat, he was saying, through his observations. This was an astronomer who was observing it, I was listening to on public radio. He's a very interesting dude. And he said that his observation showed it's very flat. And he said it's very possible this could be an extraterrestrial craft, an alien craft, or an alien created thing. Let's say that, as opposed to a craft. It could just be an alien probe. He said it's possible it's not. There's a lot of possibilities. If you all of a sudden jump to the conclusion that this is aliens, you're probably biased and you want aliens to be here. But if you also jump to the conclusion that it's not aliens in any way, shape, or form, and it can't be, and that's a ridiculous statement, you're also biased from mainstream science, who has an inherent aversion to saying anything is extraterrestrial. And so there's two sides to this coin. There's one side of a lot of scientists in the mainstream that say, no way this can be extraterrestrial. That's ridiculous. That's not true. We don't know. And there's another side that says, yeah, hell yeah, this is extraterrestrial. This is aliens, man. They're here. They're going to get us. That's also jumping to conclusions. So let's come to the middle. Okay. Let's talk about what this could be. Could be some sort of comet or other space rock that just happens to have an unusual trajectory, and it also happens to have other elements to it that is causing it to move that we can't observe a comet tail. Very possible. It could also be created by things not of this world and sent out to observe the universe, just like how we sent out probes ourselves. So Voyager 1, Voyager 2, these are probes that humans sent out a long, long time ago, 20, 40 years ago, 20, 30, 40 years ago. And some of them have passed Pluto and exited our solar system, again, depending how big you think our solar system is. But these probes are going out there. Let's say that a civilization from a different planet sent out a probe 1,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago, 10,000 years ago, 1,000,000 years ago, 1,000,000,000 years ago. The universe is a giant old place. So this very well could be a probe that was sent out by another civilization. That civilization could be gone. That civilization might not even be here. And the probe could have just been passing through our solar system. That's a distinct possibility. At this point, we don't know. We don't know if it's natural, if it's a natural rock, or if it's a alien craft. We just don't know, but it's interesting because the facts show that we don't know. The facts show that we're not sure. The facts show that we don't know it's exactly a comet. We don't know it's exactly an asteroid. We also don't know it's exactly an alien craft. So the facts are showing that we're not sure what this is, but we can't rule out either one. We can't rule out the fact that it's just an asteroid. We can't rule out the fact that it's just a comet. We can't rule out the fact that it's an alien craft. So that's really interesting to me that we can't rule either of those possibilities out. Very interesting. Another thing, it could be actually this guy, this astronomer was saying, it could be a buoy. It could be an interstellar buoy. So buoys in the ocean are fixed. They're in they're connected to the seafloor, and then as ships pass them, it tells what, maybe if there's something under there that they need to be cautious of, or just tell them where they are. That's a buoy in the ocean. This could be a buoy in the galaxy, because what's happening is that our solar system is moving. Our galaxy is rotating and our sun is moving. We're moving. Our planet is moving crazy fast around the sun. I think it's like 165 meters per second or something. Our sun is moving through our galaxy again at like it's like 5,000 meters a second. It's crazy. It's fast. Our solar system is flying around the center of our galaxy. This thing, Oumuamua, could be a buoy fairly fixed, and it could have, and our solar system could be going through its path. That's an interesting way to look at it. We don't know, but the science shows that that's a possibility. The observable science shows that that's possible, that this thing, that's what it could be, a buoy fixed in our galaxy, and our solar system's passing by it. I love it. I love the possibilities here. I love that this thing is really interesting. But it's obviously not evil. It's obviously not here to attack us. It did nothing like that. It passed through our solar system, or our solar system passed it, and now we're moving away from it, and it's moving away from us. So again, I think it's more, it could be a lot of different things, but again, it's more proof that in the future, with possible contact with alien civilizations, possibilities with AI, these things probably aren't going to be evil. These things probably aren't going to be malevolent, nasty things that are looking to kill, and destroy. I don't think that's going to happen. Is it possible? Yeah. Likely? No. So let's get past that, and let's look at it through science. Let's look at it through a fairly objective lens of interest. We're interested in it. Let's not bomb the shit out of it. Okay, that was most of what I wanted to talk about. I don't want to have the show go too long, so I don't want to talk about any more crazy shit like that. I just want to say, in conclusion to what I'm talking about, there's so many interesting and important parts of the universe that are coming into focus right now. There's this thing that's traveling through our solar system. There's possible cybernetic implants. There's artificial intelligence. There's so much cool science. There's so much cool philosophy. There's so much cool shamanistic, hallucinogenic advances that are coming back because there, a lot of hallucinogenic stuff was repressed. Watch the hallucinogenic show, by the way, if you're more interested in that. But I regress here. There's so much interesting things from so many different viewpoints that are happening in society. And it's not like it hasn't happened in society before. Society has always had interesting stuff, but there's a lot of cool stuff right now because of where we are with our technologies, because of where we are as humans. There's a lot of interesting, cool things that are in our universe that are here. Take advantage of it. Think about it. Talk about it. Don't let people make you feel strange about it. Don't let people make you feel like you're weird or you're crazy or you're out of the mainstream. No, this is the mainstream. We're the mainstream. Mainstream is the entire universe. Thinking about the universe from a broader perspective and thinking about cool, interesting stuff is where we need to be. It's what we need to do. And it's how we move forward as society, as culture, and as a species. Done. That's what I had to say. That's my conclusion. Okay, so boom. All sorts show. Crazy science shit from Tony's brain. Boom. Here it is. Now, time for 80s movies wisdom. If you're a fan of the show, thank you. You know that we do 80s movies wisdom, and I'm not going to stop today. So 80s movies wisdom, one of the greatest 80s movies of all time, The Breakfast Club. If you're a fan of movies, if you're someone who's a similar age as me, if you're anybody who's anybody, you know The Breakfast Club. You know it's an awesome movie. It's a movie about some high schoolers. It's a movie about teenage angst. It's just a fun movie. It's a well-written movie. It's a kick-ass movie. So we all love The Breakfast Club. Bender, he's the dude. He's the degenerate dude. So The Breakfast Club, you got the jock, you got the nerd, you got the princess, you have the girl weirdo, and you have the stoner or the druggie or the degenerate. That's Bender. And the principal is hassling him. He's giving him a hard time because the door closed. If you remember the scene, door closes. Bender actually goes and he fucks with it, and the door closes. Principal comes in. He's like, Bender, what's going on? Bender says, and I quote, "Screws fall out all the time. The world is an imperfect place." And that's the quote. That's the 80s movies wisdom here. Screws fall out all the time. The world is an imperfect place. So let's think about it. It's not perfect. It's not going to fit into any category. The universe, the world is all categories at once. It's a crazy, imperfect, beautiful, scary, sometimes loving, sometimes evil place. There's all these things that happen with our human emotions. There's all these things that happen in the universe, in our world. And let's try not to put so much judgment on it. Let's try not to put so much judgment on ourselves. Let's try not to put so much judgment on others. The world's an imperfect place. Let's just be in the moment, be in the world right now. And that's the show, folks. Thank you for listening. Thanks for being here. Thanks for watching. This is the Holographic Podcast. Signing off.